Welcome to the CTO Playbook, the podcast dedicated to helping CTOs excel. I'm your host, Adam Horner. With 30 years in the industry, including over a decade as a CTO, I have coached and mentored more than 100 engineers and tech leaders. This podcast covers crucial topics for CTOs, providing insights, strategies, and practical advice to help you excel in your role. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by the rapid changes in technology and the growing responsibilities as a CTO? The expectations, the rapid changes in the industry, the growing responsibilities, the evolution of your company as it scales, and the shifting requirements? You're not alone. Just over 10 years ago, when I first became a CTO, I remember constantly putting out fires and racing to keep up with the pace of change. I figured a lot of things out the hard way, my own way, and it wasn't necessarily the best or the easiest way to learn. In this first episode, I'm going to explain why I started this podcast. If you find today's episode valuable, visit our website to join the CTO Playbook community and access more resources and support for your CTO journey. The link will be in the show notes. Let me start by sharing a bit about me. I'm Adam Horner, and in 2013, I became a CTO for the first time as a co-founder of a new startup. I started confidently and excitedly because I had a great set of experiences behind me. I started working a year before university and graduated in 1999, so last century. I went straight from university into investment banking technology in London, then a consultancy that sent me all over the UK, working in a wide range of industries. Then, for 4 years, I worked at Palantir, a successful Silicon Valley startup where I helped drive the hypergrowth phase in the UK and Europe. By the time I became a CTO and co-founder at Satago, a fintech startup in London, I had already worked across various industries and developed software using cutting-edge technology. For 4 years, we delivered features at a blistering pace. This intense experience sharpened my skills, but it was a trial by fire that at times got me burnt. Every challenge taught me something new and set me up for the next hurdle. For the 5 years following that, I was an executive CTO at AdPhoenix, a marketing tech company in the real estate space, growing from its Series A onwards. There, I rebuilt the engineering team and revamped the entire outdated technology stack and engineering processes. Each company was a learning experience, and through them, I figured out how to be a CTO the hard way. Most recently, my wife Janine and I started our own company, Sonova Technology. As a CTO coach, I help CTOs accelerate their tech leadership journey. And as a fractional CTO, I help startups and scale-ups accelerate their software development. My wife Janine is spearheading the development of our own startup too, working on Kindred, an app built by parents for parents to make it easy to find and plan family activities. So, why did I start this podcast? Well, my path from being an engineer to a strategic CTO wasn't as smooth as it could have been. I faced countless challenges. I made mistakes. I frequently found myself out of my comfort zone and often wished I had more guidance. In those first few years as a CTO and co-founder, I found myself doing some things I was comfortable with. Software architecture, leading developers, hiring engineers, writing code, and making technical decisions. But I also found myself doing a lot of things that pushed me outside my comfort zone, like talking to investors, whether pitching for investment or updating them in the boardroom. I found myself selling and supporting our product, creating HR processes, representing legal aspects of decision-making, creating company policy, and many other aspects of being a CTO that I absolutely had not thought about beforehand. This podcast is my way of giving back and providing the support that I wish I had had back then. Even though this podcast is called the CTO Playbook, an important thing for us all to remember is that there isn't a single CTO playbook. If it were that easy, it wouldn't be worth the challenge. We'll explore my playbook, but the idea is that you build your own. Your playbook should suit your style, your approach, and incorporate your superpowers and your personality. Each CTO's journey is unique, and this podcast will help you craft a playbook that works best for you. Now, let's talk about another reason for starting this podcast. The role of the CTO today has changed so much over the years. The role itself is a young one, only about 40 years old, with the first CTOs being appointed in the late 1980s. So it isn't a surprise that it is still changing rapidly. And it's not just about understanding and representing technology, although that is a big part of the role. Being a seasoned CTO is about being a company leader, a strategist, an innovator. And communication is central too, whether translating between the business and technology domains or helping engineers and their leaders in their roles. Being a confident and articulate communicator is a skill that needs learning and refining. I'm constantly improving in my skills in this area as well, for example. It's a challenging but incredibly rewarding role. In this podcast, we'll explore all these aspects and many more to help you build your own CTO playbook. One of the most exciting aspects of the CTO playbook is the lineup of conversations we have planned. We'll hear from other CTOs, CEOs, innovators, investors, coaches, and thought leaders. These conversations will provide diverse perspectives and valuable insights, helping us all to stay ahead in our careers by broadening the foundations of our knowledge. For example, we have upcoming episodes with Stephen Rennick, my CEO at Satago, and now a serial entrepreneur, on how to work with your CEO. We'll be talking with Warren Beasley, who has been recruiting CTOs for almost as long as I've been working. And we'll hear from some awesome CTOs in a variety of industries too. They'll share their experiences and strategies that have led to their success. Talking about lots of CTOs, that brings us neatly onto the subject of community. Being a CTO can sometimes feel isolating and a little lonely. At least it has for me at times. We're dealing with unique challenges that not many people understand and few can relate to. It's important to build a network of fellow CTOs and tech leaders. So by sharing our experiences and advice, we can all grow stronger. This podcast is my way of bringing a sense of community to our shared learning and creating something I never had when I was learning the hard way how to be a CTO. I encourage you to send in your questions and topics you'd like to hear about. This podcast is for you, and I want to make sure we're addressing the issues that you care about most. So in summary, in this episode, we've covered why I started the CTO Playbook, my personal journey, and the reasons behind starting the podcast and the importance of creating your own CTO Playbook. We've covered the evolving role of the CTO and the importance of communication. I've looked at the exciting interviews we've got lined up, and we've spoken a little bit about the significance of building a community of tech leaders. I'm really excited to be on this journey with you. Please remember to visit our website for more resources and stay connected with fellow tech leaders building a CTO playbook. Together, we can navigate the complexities of the CTO role and achieve great things. I also encourage you to send in your questions and topics you'd like to hear about. This podcast is for you, and I want to make sure we're addressing the issues that you care about most. Tune in for our next episode where I'll be talking to Stephen Rennick, a serial founder and CEO, as we talk about the relationship between the CEO and the CTO. Thank you very much for listening all the way through to the end. Just before you go, I'd like to ask you for one thing in return for putting together all these episodes of the CTO Playbook podcast for you. Please leave a review. Wherever you're listening, whether that is Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whichever platform you're on, leaving a quick review will help more CTOs find the podcast and enable me to create more great episodes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode of the CTO Playbook.